Hello, Internet, and welcome to Say Report Jr., a show you should be listening to, subscribe to, and downloading every week. I am one of your hosts, Zach Sarowik.
And I am your other host, Dale Decker.
Is Dale alive in 2020?
Of course, of course. I'm here, I'm well, I'm great. I love everything. I don't know. It's been okay.
Do you love that beer?
Yeah, we're gonna see what it's like. I have a really old beer. It's a pumpkin head. From
Well, that's not really old. That's just from October.
Yeah.
Okay.
It it was outside and then it was inside and then I think it was outside again. And then it was inside. It's had multiple trips.
Did it ever freeze in any of these trips?
It might have. I don't remember when it was from. It was from some party my mom had.
Oh, God.
I don't remember. So we're going to see. It was in the bottom of our fridge, and the bottle had rust on the top of it. And there was, like, sticky, yellow, gross stuff on it. So, but the beer inside should be good.
So this is Say Report Fear Factor.
It's going to be fine. The beer inside, like you said, the beer inside's not that old.
Oh, my God.
We're going to see what happens.
All right.
And listen, how do you know if beer is bad? It tastes like a skunk, right?
Also, again, I would like to reiterate, on mic, there is, in fact, an expiration date on your beer. It's printed on the bottle.
Yeah, I know. I can never find it, though. There was one time, though, I had a beer. Okay, real quick, because it's funny. There was, Maine, right? You can buy beer in, like, grocery stores and in, like, gas station stores and stuff, right? Beer is just sold, like, in Walmart, right? So there's this little gas station that we go to that's near a cabin up there that we stay in every once in a while. And they had, like, 99-cent beer. And it was Coney Island beer or something. And so we were like, 99 cents, hell yeah, let's throw some of those in. And ended up not drinking it the whole trip, the whole, like, week we were there. We might have had one bottle. And then we brought it back home. And one day I was like, you know what, I'm going to have some beer and hot dogs. It's going to be great. And I looked at the thing, and it had, like, don't drink after notched day, after notched month. So it had, like, a little indent.
Yeah.
And it was like, I took a picture of it, so it is on the internet somewhere. And I think, like, 4 months had passed, or, like, 5-6 months had passed since it expired. And I still drank it. It was fine. It's just gonna not taste as good.
So Dale's had her beer vaccine already, is what she's saying.
Yeah. I mean,
she'll be fine now.
It's alcohol, right? It kills anything. I'm gonna take a sip now.
Yeah.
Ow, my tooth! I just knocked it on the glass. Because I'm also not drinking out of the bottle because, because of the aforementioned stuff.
Again, the gross stuff on the bottle that the beer had to pass over in order to get into the glass you're drinking.
Exactly. So we're going to take a sip. I'm making this much more of a deal than it is. At the end of the day, I'm just drinking beer. It's probably fine beer. Let's go. Not that bad. Not bad. It's good. It's tasty. I made sure to make that, like, the very obvious drinking noises that I hate so much.
So the noises that are now recorded for our listeners to hear in high def audio. Yeah.
Hi, Zach. How you doing? 4 minutes into our episode.
Oh, man. I'm fine.
Anticlimactic.
I've just been working through most of this year, so.
Yeah, me too.
I'm fine.
I mean, we're only 6 days in.
Oh,
7. We're only 7 days in. It's been fine.
It's a week-old year. It's a week-old decade.
Oh my God! No, wait. Isn't this the start of a new decade?
Yes, that's why it's a week-old decade.
I guess that's okay. All right, yeah. Happy New Year, everybody. We did not get to talk to you last year, or we didn't.
At the end of last year.
At the end of last year, we didn't get to talk to you last week. So, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I tried to open a bottle of, like, white wine champagne, and it didn't work out well. It wasn't like extravagant or anything.
Well, I mean, you really don't want that. It's a waste of champagne when it goes like when the cork comes popping out and it
Yeah.
goes spraying
Yeah.
everywhere. That's expensive alcohol. That's a waste of stuff that can get you drunk.
That's true. Yeah. So Happy New Year, everybody. Hope it was a good one. Hope it was a good night of partying. You had some fun.
I celebrated by getting a man so drunk he fell out of his chair.
That's great.
So,
Hey,
to be fair, I
that's
cut
fun.
him off and he fell out of the chair anyway.
Oh, were you serving him alcohol?
Yes, when I say
Oh.
I got a man so drunk.
Ah, that's even better.
In my defense, they showed up. A group of people showed up at the hotel bar at 5:30,
Oh, wow.
and we're like, "Yeah, we're gonna be here till midnight.
Oh, my God.
We got our own stuff. We got our food. Is that fine? Yeah, that's fine.
I hope you got tipped.
Yeah, pretty well." And then they were ordering stuff here and there for me, but they also had their own wine bottles. It was fine.
Yeah.
And then, so the guy I only served 6 drinks over the course of 6 hours.
Okay.
Mathematically, I'm in the clear.
Yeah.
But I imagine he was also nipping at whatever they had, and there was a point at which he was falling asleep on his bar stool,
Oh, my God.
to which I told his group, I will not be serving this man anymore.
Yeah.
And about 10 minutes later, he tried to stand up and should not have.
Oh, my
So, that's how I ring in the new year.
That's incredible. That's fun. That can be fun in its own way.
He was fine.
You got paid.
I wouldn't be telling the story if he wasn't fine.
Exactly.
Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And you got paid for it.
Oh, I did. I did get paid for that.
That's good.
So how have you been?
I've been good. A lot of stuff has happened. I've seen a lot of movies. Started a lot of shows. Played some video games. A lot has happened.
Yeah, I've
but
played
it's
some
a lot
video
of
games
the
too,
same.
but we'll get into mine
It's-
later.
It's a lot of the same scenario, you know? Like, Dale saw a lot of movies and played video games. But the news...
But it's about whether something spoke to you enough that's worth talking about.
Oh, I mean,
That's the thing.
so the list of movies I can remember that I saw within the past 2 weeks were... we're just gonna go down the line. I'll talk about the movies, I'll talk about the shows, and I'll talk about the games. And if we're lucky, I can get to our Decker X-Men quest, that I think Devin might have talked about. But yeah, so hopefully I can get to that. But yeah, so the movies I saw were, let's see if I can remember them all. Because I already talked about Bombshell, and I already talked about we already talked about Star Wars, Queen and Slim, all that, right?
Yes, that was our last episode. All right.
So I saw Little Women, which was great. Really enjoyed it. Frozen 2 finally.
I could have sworn you saw that earlier.
No.
Did you really just get to that
Yeah,
now?
we just got to it. Because every time we tried to get seats, it was sold out.
Right, that's right. I
Every
remember that coming up last.
single
Okay.
time.
Yep.
It was sold out. We had no luck with it. So we finally were able to go see it. And like we got our tickets very early. So we were like the first 2 tickets bought for this showing. And then on the same day that we saw Frozen 2, we saw Spies in Disguise, which I got a lot to say about that.
I've heard. That was something that Devin did mention in Say Report Jr. He's like, I can guarantee you Dale will just lavish that Spies in Disguise for this episode.
So Spies in Disguise, and what was the other? We saw Uncut Gems. And if there were more movies, I have forgotten them because a lot of movies happen.
Yeah.
But Uncut Gems.
I want to see Uncut Gems, but mostly what I've heard from people is that like the tension that they have running through the entire trailer runs through that whole movie, and it feels like I'd have a panic attack watching it if that's the case.
So that's interesting. That is very true. Like it's a very tense movie, and I saw it with Devin and our mom, and both of them were like, yeah, I was tense at this part, I was tense at this part. And I was like, I wasn't that tense, which kind of made me nervous. Because I'm like, am I immune to this? Am I numb to tension in movies like this? But thinking back on it, there definitely are moments in it where I was like, oh my God, this could go bad. Like I am tense. So It's okay, but it's a very tense movie throughout. Um, but it comparative, you know how people were talking about like Joker was really tense.
Yes.
I would not. I think I was more tense during Joker than I was during Uncut Gems.
Really?
I think.
I just remember how much I felt so much nothing watching Joker that I just can't. I just
I
don't believe
don't.
that. But
I mean, I
but that's
felt.
me.
It's
That's
weird.
me.
It's weird because like I'm trying to remember now. I'm like trying to remember movies that people said were tense, and I'm like, did I feel tense? Did I feel tension? I don't know. Because Joker was a lot of a nothing movie for me too. Like I liked it, but there are moments in it where I'm like, oh god, oh shit, what's going to happen? I don't know. I kind of just lost myself in Uncut Gems, so I didn't notice if I was tense or not. If that
Like I
makes
just
sense.
it does. It also I think just means it's because it's a better movie. I mean not to go back months and months and months and shit
Yeah.
on Joker or anything, but
Yeah.
I mean I think that's the sign of it was you were much more just into watching that movie and being entertained by it than I
Yeah.
think you were
Joker.
aware of time passing that
Yeah.
you are when you're watching Joker.
Yeah.
But that's good. Like
Like
I really wish like Adam Sandler almost made this turn with Punch Drunk Love
mhm.
and then like slid back again, and it's fine, like he can do what he wants. I just like I fell into such a rut of not wanting to ever care about Adam Sandler again, that
Yeah.
then this comes out and I'm like I don't know if I would like I don't know if I feel like it
Yeah.
like giving him that time, but I'll probably watch it eventually. Like I'm sure it's like primed to come up on
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
on some sort of streaming service to sit down and watch.
I
I mean,
mean,
I
sorry.
like the Celtics. I like Kevin Durant. The idea that Kevin Durant's just in this movie is kind of weird. And
Yeah.
like I want to see and like I like Lakeith Stanfield, so I'll watch that.
What's really nice too is that the trailer doesn't really give like I had no idea what this movie was about, which was really nice. So I was
Yeah,
just
like
like, it's Adam
I have an
Sandler.
idea.
He sells jewelry to very wealthy, successful, you know, elites.
He was like hawking.
Hollywood,
Yeah,
like
I got out of that.
musical athlete elites.
Right, I
Like,
got out
okay.
of that trailer. Oh, he hawks stuff and then gambles with the money, and
Yeah.
it gets him in fucking trouble. Like that's what I got out of that
Yeah.
trailer.
See,
So like
yeah,
that's
I
all
had
I
no
need to
idea.
go. That's all I need to go into that movie and be like, okay, I think I can figure out what's going on from there
Yeah.
and go along for that ride.
But yeah, it has shocking moments. It's great. Like it's really, and again, like I really just lived in the story, so I had no idea what time was, the time passage. Like someone I heard someone I think in the theater was like, "Man, this is long" or something afterwards. And it is a long movie, but it did not feel long at all. Like I had no concept of time or place or anything. So that was really cool. Um, and then Little Women was really great too. Because I never really knew the story of Little Women, so it was nice that I actually got to see the story in a theater.
Read it
Because I've never
overnight.
seen.
Read it
Yeah.
overnight in one night on a train, hungover because I had a test on it the next day.
Hmm.
So I bet I would
Nice.
like this movie because I bet I would absorb it better.
Probably. It was just really good. Like I said, I never knew anything about it. I really didn't. Which is surprising because like I'm surprised it never got brought up in school or anything.
Which is weird because there's been other
There's
adaptations
been
of
other exactly.
like
I mean, in my lit and film class alone, I'm surprised it didn't get brought up. But yeah, it was really good. I loved it. It just was really really nice. It was weird though because there was a lot of people in the theater. And it was in the theater in Mystic, Connecticut, so it's luxury seats, so you're not like on top of each other, but you know, you're still pretty on top, like you're still pretty close to people.
it's still a movie theater. They're
And
still trying to
so
sell a certain number of tickets into that
exactly.
room. Yeah.
And so it was just like funny watching people get their seats, and then the theater got dark, and all of a sudden I had a person next to me, which I'm like, I don't love this. Does not make me feel that comfortable. But it more during the movie, I'm like sobbing, and I'm like, this person next to me had no idea what they were getting into by sitting next to me during this movie. And I just like, and I am so unapologetic about that. And I'm like, I feel like the person next to me had no, and I could be wrong, and they could have just been hiding it better, but like no emotions towards the movie. I'm
It's all
like,
on the
that's
inside.
even better.
Internalize that movie.
But yeah, and then Frozen 2 was better than Frozen. Like leaps and bounds better than Frozen for the first Frozen. Um like I didn't leave upset. Also people aren't going as crazy over this one as they were with the first one. And I unfortunately think that a lot of my a lot of disdain, I don't know, a lot of what made me dislike the first
What turns you
Frozen,
off of the first Frozen?
it
Yeah.
was just like everybody was like, it's a masterpiece, it's the best movie ever, it's incredible, oh my god, the songs are incredible, oh my god, the story, blah 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 blah. Like it was just everywhere. And I think it unfortunately, deterred me from it until we played Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, oh wait, there's actually really good parts of this. And then like this is also a weird thing, but hearing covers of Let It Go made me like Let It Go more, because it allowed me to just again live, like talking about living in the art or whatever, it allowed me to live in the song more. So I was just, it wasn't Indina Menzel singing it, it was other people singing it just as well, and so it got me into this level of, oh my god, this is a good song, this is a fun song to sing, I understand it. But none of that is happening with Frozen 2, which kind of makes me sad on a level, because again, it's a better story, and is better told.
Well, it's interesting because a big part of your feelings on that, I think, might have to do with, and if I remember correctly, I was medium on Frozen when I finally sat down and watched it. Like, I don't remember being annoyed by it or anything,
Yeah.
but I had just honestly, I don't think I'd ever heard more than the 3 words "Let It Go" repeated ad nauseum.
Yeah.
I never actually heard that song until I sat down and watched Frozen. But that was a movie that started out with a completely different story, and then a woman came in and was like, this would be better if you didn't just Disney the crap out of this, right? This would be a better story if it was about the sisters. Because there was a point at which the guy who turns out to be the bad guy in that movie was not the bad guy. That movie originally ended with those two with Elsa getting married and everything.
I believe it. Or
yeah,
Anna getting married.
No, Elsa getting married.
Oh,
the guy
really?
the guy that turns on Elsa, that they did have to stop. The end of the original version of that movie was that he did not turn out to be the bad guy.
Huh.
Was that he in fact did help save Elsa, and then they got married. And then someone came in and was like, "But what if not? What if we made this about sisters?"
Yeah.
And
and that's like another problem with that, is that it doesn't feel like it's about sisters. Like, I understand that that's what they tried to do, but it's just such a blah relationship. I don't know.
So the idea that like Frozen 2 probably starts out, from an actual point that they started and completed and didn't change halfway through probably helps. So
it also, well, I don't want to say it because it's really well hidden. I mean, I know you don't care, but someone who is listening
I know
care.
I know bits and pieces like plot-wise movie already, but we don't have to talk about them.
Exactly. Like, there was just moments in it that they were legitimate surprises, and it was like, oh my god, like I am even more into this than I thought I was going to be. By simply introducing this one thing, you totally brought me on board. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Frozen. The songs are pretty good. There's two or three songs that stop everything in the movie, and it's terrible. Like, those are the moments where I'm like, are you kidding me right now? You needed to stop right now for an Olaf song. You needed to stop the entire movement of the movie and the momentum of the movie, so these characters could have one song that could have been a deleted scene. Really? Come on, guys. And then even like talking about it, the 3 really good songs that help the story, help with the momentum, still could have just been instrumental songs. Like, they could have just been instrumental numbers, and then those songs could have happened as deleted scenes or as like soundtrack or something. I don't know, like an extended soundtrack. But unfortunately, that's not that's not what is going to sell that movie because of how musical the first movie was.
Right,
Which
and
is
I think it's a big
unfortunate.
and
Which
a,
is
and
a
a big
big
part of it
problem.
was
That was a big problem I
Frozen.
had with Frozen.
Right, and Frozen was their return to their musical animated stuff
Mm.
after Tangled had what, one song?
Oh, but
But
fuck you. What?
I
Tangled has a
seriously,
bunch of songs.
does it? I remember Tangled
Yes.
having okay.
Sorry.
Sorry?
That
I
was
don't remember
sorry.
Tangled being a
Sorry.
musical was the thing.
Sorry. That was way more harsher than I meant
Because that
it.
was what I because in a big part of it is because I wasn't paying that much attention when Tangled or Frozen came out. So like to
It's
me,
fine.
Frozen coming back and Let It Go being this huge thing was my mind going, "Oh yeah, Disney's doing musicals again."
Well, Princess and the Frog is musical too.
Right, but they tried that once 2D and then it completely flopped even though it
Yeah.
shouldn't have and that was the end of the Disney musical
Yeah.
after they and the end of Disney 2D animation. But like as far as my brain was concerned, the switch over to 3D to CGI was also the switch over to we're doing like
Yeah.
Pixar, which means we're not doing music. And then Frozen came in and was like, "Oh, we can do music again."
The whole like one of the biggest plot devices in Tangled is a song.
Right, but in my brain, that was the song. Like my brain, like remembers that there's one important song in Tangled and doesn't remember any other music from that.
Oh my god.
I don't
no.
even remember the song.
There's a
I
bunch.
just remember that there's a song that's important, but I don't remember it at all.
So there's
So-
there's the wake up. I'll give them like quick and dirty names. But there's like the wake up song. There's the villain song. There's the wake up song reprise. There there is the like happy just people song, like little like it's all the ruffians, like the bad guys who you think
They
would be
didn't-
bad.
Yeah, didn't even remember they had a song
Yep,
in the
so
list.
they have
Nope.
they have a whole big song. Then there is the it's not sung, but it's still a song. There's still a song kind of going, but there's like the town song. It's more instrumental, but it's very much part of the thing. The villages song or the kingdom song. Then there's the love song. We're at 6. Then there's the love scene song where they proclaim their love for each other. Then there's the wait, no, I gotta back up because then there's the villain reprise song earlier before they get to the kingdom song. Then there's the love song of us proclaiming our love for each other. Then is that it? Is that all the songs? So we got 6.
I don't know. Literally, this conversation started with me not remembering there's any music in there. How am I supposed to tell you?
Oh, and then the 7th song would be the credit song because it's about the whole like wrap up to the movie. And then the 8th song and 9th song are sprinkled throughout because it's the song that you sing to the magic flower to get its magic abilities, but there's 2 versions of the song.
Okay, so what I've definitely proven is that Tangled got done dirty. So anyway.
What do you mean Tangled got done dirty?
I think that people are fans of that, but I think aside from Kingdom Hearts 3, Disney doesn't pay that much attention to Tangled or the fact that it has music in it. I think that once Frozen came out and Let It Go turned them into
it's
$1 billion. Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I got
when
you.
I say Tangled got done dirty, I mean
there's
Tangled...
there's an animated TV series that I really really want to watch. That's about it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and like, I know that it's got like something in Disneyland. I don't even know if it's in both Disneyland and Disney World.
It's a bathroom. Because I got real upset.
It's a sign over a door.
No, it's like a very stylized area of bathrooms, apparently, which broke my heart because I saw a picture of it and I texted friends of mine who I know like go to Disney, and I'm like, excuse me, there's a Tangled section, and none of you thought to, because I freaking love Tangled. Clearly, I was just able to basically tell the entire movie through its songs.
Yes, with Wake Up Song and Wake Up Song Reprise. Which, if that's not the title of this episode for the start of 2020, I don't know what is.
And like I did that dirty because like it's not even the reprise is more like freedom song.
But I think that that's like a big part of it.
It's like wake up / freedom song.
Yeah, but I think that's a big part of it though, is that you don't have a Let It Go in that track list. You have a bunch of really good songs, but you don't have one that stands out. Like you don't have a whole new world, and you don't have what a fucking Little Mermaid that it was stuck in my head
Part
two
of your
minutes
world.
ago. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
The
Because there were
the
two songs with the world in them were throwing me off.
the
Like you don't
song
have a
the song that would be that is s- ah, um what is it? Why can't I think of the title? And at
like
last I see the light. It's that song. It's the love song.
right.
Like that's
And either that's the one song I like remember vaguely in my brain, or there's like one other. But there's not like a but yeah, like I don't remember there being like
yeah.
big song set pieces to
Yeah.
those the way there are in other Disney movies.
No, and it's sad because but yeah, but I got real upset because nobody told me there was a Tangled section, and I got a text back saying it's just bathrooms, and I cried a little, and my heart broke a little bit.
Someone took some foam plaster and redid the front face on this one section of the wall.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, but Spice in Disguise, we're gonna stop talking. Well, we're gonna go back to Disney in a second because we gotta talk about Mandalorian, but
Oh yeah, I forgot you watched
yeah.
Mandalorian.
But Spies in Disguise. Excuse me while I burp. Um, we were driving home after seeing it, and I was like, "That's the best movie of the year that I've seen so far." And I mean, 2020 had just started, but I would even argue it was one of the best movies I saw in 2019. That released in 2019.
That's
it's
fair.
just it's just so good. It's just so good. Everything about it is just so good. It breaks your heart and then it fixes your heart. Like it makes you just feel so small because you just feel so sad. And then it fixes it all. And it's like, no, you don't have to be sad because everything is fine. It's so good. And Will Smith is fantastic as always. And Tom Holland using his Spider-Man voice was really great. It's great. And like this was fun because they go to areas in the movie. They go to different countries in the movie that both Will Smith and Tom Holland have gone to in other movies.
Oh God.
So that was real fun to be
Do
like.
they reference that, or is that just
No,
something you noticed because you do?
that's just something I noticed and Devin noticed.
Yeah.
And then there was like plot points that both of them have dealt with in other movies. And it's like, this is incredible. So this is basically a third Spider-Man. This is basically another Spider-Man movie and another Gemini Man slash MIB slash whatever other action film Will Smith has done.
Another After Earth. It's
Yeah. But no, it's so much fun and so good and so genius. Like the thought, like every time I see a pigeon now, I'm like, you're probably just a spy. This is you're probably surveillancing me right now. I'd believe it. But the idea of becoming a pigeon to do spy work is just so smart to me, and it's just so good. Plus it's a spy movie, and I freaking love spy movies, and everybody should go see Spies in Disguise. Everybody should go see Spies in Disguise.
Everybody should make an effort to support the family and children's media that is not owned and shoved down every fucking
Yes.
theater by Disney this year. I mean, hopefully they're good and they're worth it, and we'll figure that out as we go.
Yeah.
But man, like nothing kills me more than the idea that like a big reason Spies in Disguise doesn't get more press or more money is that like it can only get 2 screens and maybe 4 showings a day while it's in theaters because fucking
Frozen.
Star Wars is taking over everything right now,
yeah,
and Frozen
and
is still in
Frozen.
theaters.
Yeah.
And like and just like the fact that like it's not a Nickelodeon produced thing and getting a bunch of like airtime on Nickelodeon right now to come out and like, oh, we did a whole half-hour special where we had Tom Holland and Will Smith talk about pigeons for a half hour or some shit that they would have done 10 years ago that would have made that movie at least marginally more successful.
Yeah.
I actually have no idea how it's doing money wise, and I have a strong suspicion we're going to see starting this year a strong backlash against Disney, which
Yeah.
sucks because the first thing that's going to take that hit is Mulan, which I don't think is going to deserve it. But
Yeah. It's interesting too though because it's Blue Sky, right? So Blue Sky did Spies in Disguise, right? Blue Sky also did Ice Age and all those movies. So it's very cuz at least for me, I remember growing up and remember how loved Ice Age was
they
by
made
just
four of them. They
yeah,
made four Ice Age movies because they were giant fucking
yeah,
moneymakers.
and video games and there might have been a TV show. Like it's just it's crazy. And then like Spies in Disguise comes out, and I don't think people realize that's the issue. That's the thing about these movies, right? That aren't
They
Disney or like aren't Illumination or whatever. Like you don't know it's a Blue Sky movie because nothing I saw. Maybe it was. Maybe I just missed
never,
it.
nothing said from the creators
There's
of
of
Ice
Ice
Age.
Age. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And again, I could have missed it. I could have entirely missed that. But and it could exist. But you know, I just never saw it. But sure enough, there the opening, you know, one of the opening production company title, cards is Scrat, and he's chasing his little acorn, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is going to be great." Like I already have a feeling that this is going to be a good movie because of what this company has produced previously. Like I am ready for it.
Absolutely.
And so, but yeah, but that's also there's that too, like kids who are going to like the movies that these are the kids that these are now being marketed to don't I don't think know about Ice Age or anything like that. They
They
probably do.
only if they watched
But
Freeform in the last 2 months because it
yeah.
was definitely on their lead up their Christmas lead up
Yeah.
list.
I mean, I know like
Actually, I should say the third one was.
yeah.
So, great thing to
Yeah.
capitalize on introducing characters to people is
Yeah.
to just put the third one out there. Ugh.
But yeah, it's very interesting, but it's so good. Like it's just a really good movie. Like it's not, and it doesn't, and it's dark. Like it's really dark. And it should not have. Okay, there's a lot of moments in it that are very questionable for children. Cause like there is an entire scene where a dude is naked and like there is solid nudity on the screen, like just butt shots. But like it's like a
But
15.
butts are funny. We all know butts are
Yeah,
funny.
I
Butts have
know.
been funny for years.
I know, but it was also there were nipple shots too, which like I don't have an issue with. But like I can picture a parent being like, do, gotta take my kid go see this pigeon movie, and then be like, oh my god, there was a nipple. There was an animated nipple in this. There was an animated butt in this. There was almost a part where you saw an animated dick. Like but they hide it in a really nice way, but it's alluded to. Like there's a joke, a kind of a joke. But it's basically like Will Smith as the pigeon being like, come on, and like covering it with his wing. And it's like, all right, parents could probably get upset about that. Let's move on. And then there's a legitimate bleeped swear where they pixelize the pigeon's mouth. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then there was another time where Tom Holland's character, Walter, was gonna say ass, and he almost gets it out. Like, he almost says ass, but he gets
To be fair,
cut
though,
off.
Shrek says ass. He's talking about a donkey, but like we let that shit go.
That's
I think
true.
what's weird is that I think you're thinking the way that the people who were marketing this movie were thinking, which was, oh, parents might get upset with this, and I think for some reason I think we do this every few years where we forget that kid stuff has always been
Oh, of course
questionable
it
in a
has
lot of
been.
ways.
Oh, of course. And
Like,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that I was surprised. It
no,
doesn't
and it's not that I don't think it's like
like
I don't think that you're surprised. I don't think you're offended. I think that you're concerned about other people being offended. The problem is, I think that most people going it either aren't thinking about it,
Yeah.
are just laughing at it, or are thinking about what other people are
Yeah.
thinking about it and not thinking about themselves
Yeah.
and just laughing at the thing,
Yeah.
which is why it creates this weird thing with like all kids like I think with all kids media where people are like, oh, we can't go too far because of this. And other people are like, no, go as far as you want. It's
Hmm.
fine. And then other people are like, but what will other people think about it?
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry about what other people will think
Yeah.
about it. Market the movie
I
you
mean,
have.
and that's the thing. What I think interests me is that, and like again, the other things I was like, oh, that's interesting that it's in here. Is there was like alcohol, like heavy alcohol use and guns, which like those are always in kids movies, but we look past it. I think why I think about it more now is because there are sites out there that are parents who are like looking for these discrepancies in their kids movies and being like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, don't go see this, don't see that. So I think that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh, parents are gonna rip this
You're
movie apart, and it's
yes.
really sad because at the baseline of it, it's in everything. Like everything your kid is watching after Nick Jr. or Disney Jr. is going to have that stuff in it. If you show them Pinocchio, you're showing them drunk freaking boys. You're showing them drunk children. If you show them Alice in Wonderland, you're showing them a high freaking caterpillar and a drunk Alice. Like, it's everywhere, guys. It's
Yeah.
okay. But
And what's
that's why
interesting,
like I'm watching it and I'm attuned to that cuz I'm like, it sucks that now parents are going to get on its case when before it never was. And honestly, you shouldn't be on its case anyways because it's at the base level, at the end of the day, these movies are for kids. I mean, they're marketed for kids. I wouldn't say they are for kids. But they're marketed towards kids, but like they're always going to throw something in there, an adult joke for the parents who are going to see these movies for the kids. And like it's been in Fairly Odd Parents, like it's been in all these cartoons that we've been watching ever since we were kids. But I think it sucks that now it's more
I would
attuned
I would
to
also say about those like sites and stuff where it's like someone sitting down and like trying to catalog all of the bad things in the movie so you can
Yeah.
decide if it's good for your kid or not. Here's the thing. Those sites are run by like one person. One person runs multiple versions of the same site. So when Lifetime had their lesbian couple in the Christmas ad
Hmm.
and then had to pull it because a group called 1 Million Moms was like, hey, we don't want our kids seeing lesbian kisses on your wholesome family show. 1 Million Moms has been around for like a decade and it's like 10 people.
Yeah.
And like three of them are like actually moms and like one of them is maybe an evangelical, like maybe one of them's actually religious. Like the thing is what tends to happen is that like in the same way that most terribly stupid internet controversies happen is that like a site sits down and catalogs these things and like I think IMDb did either had or does have like a thing in there where like parents can sit down and be like, here's what's in this that might be bad for kids. But it's like it's one person and then what happens is someone reports that and someone reports that someone reported that and then someone talks about how all of these sites are talking about all these different things and all of these sites are cataloging all this. It's like no, they're all linking back to one person sitting down cataloging it. But because it then gets parroted by 10 sites who then parrot those 10 sites who then parrot those 10 sites, it sounds like it's a much bigger thing than it really is. But that sort of thing then leads to an executive somewhere going, no, I heard parents are cataloging these things now.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on their bad side, so we're not going to do this or we're not going to market this or that. It's like, no, don't worry
But
about
that
it.
but
Like I promise
that's
you
the
that
issue.
like I promise you that like 99% of the people watching your movies don't care. They just want to know if the movie's
Yeah.
going to be fun to watch for
But
90 minutes.
but that in lies the issue is that because unfortunately it does change shit. Like it sucks. Like it sucks that it changes stuff because like you said, it probably is only a handful of people. Like
Like the most like impact it has is that a parent sits down and goes, "Oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't let my kid see that stuff,"
yeah.
and then it becomes like a bigger thing, and then it gets so muddled
Yeah.
that it's hard to be like, "No, you don't get it. We didn't actually have to think about this."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it is. It's but the way I look at it, the way I look at jokes like that in movies is like, okay, cool. You're treating the kids that you are marketing this to as adults. Like, which I am kind of a person who's like we shouldn't treat kids like kids and a lot like That came out wrong.
We need to
But
change
like,
it. Well, what it is we need to change our definition of what treating a kid like a kid is. Like, I
yeah,
think I think it's perfectly fair to be like a kid can't handle a certain amount of information because they don't have the foundation to
yes,
back up that information.
yeah,
But that means that we, I think, as adults, should be giving kids the foundation so that when that other
yeah,
stuff comes up, we can talk about it. And
exactly.
I think instead, what we do is go, oh no, all bad things.
Yeah,
Keep all the bad things away. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, but then your kid's gonna hit a bad thing and they're not gonna be equipped in the fucking slightest
Exactly.
to deal with anything.
Yeah. It's like it's kind of the same thing. It's like adjacent to the same problem I have with movies being like, "Oh, we have a teenager. We're going to have them say all of the typical teenager shit." And it's like, "No, don't, because only a handful of teenagers actually talk like what the internet says they talk like."
Or they
Like,
say one of those
or
10
they say
things, but
one
you
of
made
the
one, but you
things.
made this one teenager say all 10 of the
Exactly.
things.
Like,
Yeah.
that is and I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. That is a huge problem I have with with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And it's not on Tom Holland, it's, the writers, it's whoever wrote it. But like, him being like, have you guys ever seen that really old movie, when he's talking about any of the movies he references? And it's like, kids, like, I don't believe people are actually saying that. Like, I have heard it, but at the same
Or not in
time,
that way.
not
They're
in that
just saying
way.
they're,
They're
they're
just
not
like,
saying the words really old movie.
yeah,
They're being like, "Hey, I heard of a movie." Like they're not
yeah,
saying they're not like emphasizing the fact
yeah,
that it's 40 years old or
yeah.
something.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
and it's all these like teenagers who are like treating adults older than they are, and like acting like the stereotypical thing, and it's just like, it gets under my skin. So when I have a movie that is being marketed to children having those adult jokes, it's like, cool, this is cool to me. But it unfortunately, like, it makes me happy, but it also makes me kind of nervous, because it's like, there is a parent out there who will blow this out of proportion and ruin it for everybody. And that makes me sad, but thank you, Blue Sky, for not letting what has happened to movies in the past happen to your movie.
Yeah.
Because
Or and then the other unfortunate side to that though, not to oh, sure, yes, to go back and hit Disney one more time, that movie is not going to do as much money as they want it to, and they're going to, instead of being like, oh, it's because Disney choked us out of this theater, they're going to look at it and go, it's, oh, because we didn't have the most wholesome Disney-fied version of this, so we need to remake it to be more like the thing that made all the money. It's like, no, you didn't make all the
no,
money because you weren't in 16 theaters
theaters.
running 8 shows a day.
Yeah.
You're
And I
just
don't
never going to make you're never going to make $1 billion
yeah.
without that.
Yeah. And I don't know
But
how many showings it had, but I think it
yeah,
was
no, I
pretty
just
plentiful, but you're not wrong. Like, you have a
definitely
point.
in like its second week. Definitely by like its second week, it's definitely not. It's not being.
Yeah.
It's not sitting in as many theaters as it was on its opening weekend.
I mean,
Like,
it came out Christmas. Came out Christmas Day. So the fact that it's still in theaters is pretty cool
yes,
to me. But I don't know. But yeah, everybody should go see Spies in Disguise and just enjoy the ride that it is. It's just a really good story and really fun. And yeah. Boom.
plus that pigeon butt joke. That is the only joke I know of that whole thing because Sejan reiterated it on Say Report today, and it's still the only thing I remember from a trailer.
The egg?
No, the I can see my butt and
I
you
can
at
see.
the same
Yep,
time.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. Yep. Which is very
Oh man,
funny. But yeah, we're 43 minutes in.
that's okay. Don't worry. It's gonna be. It's
Um,
the first one of the year. It's been 2
yeah.
weeks. It's just gonna be long.
Yeah. The other stuff I did real quick, like I started watching third season of Dragon Prince after rewatching the first and second season, which I don't really do for TV shows that much, but I did for this just because of how much I freaking love Dragon Prince.
It also helps that they're only 10 episodes, so you're not like taking a chunk of
There's
your
like
entire
there's
life
yeah
out.
there's 9 episodes per season.
Yeah.
So but yeah, the third season is incredible and it makes me cry every episode and it's just so good and you need to catch up.
I know I
So
do.
I
I
can
know
talk
I
about
do.
stuff with you and other people should just watch it. And yeah, there's two things in particular I want to talk about, but I can't talk about it because you just need to see it. You just need to live in the moment that I got to live in. And the fact that this isn't on the internet somewhere, the fact that I completely missed this is just so good. Like, I got to have a natural reaction to this freaking joke, and it's just so good. It's just so good. But yeah, Dragon Prince is so good. Just go watch it. Go watch it. Don't even question. Just watch Dragon Prince. But Mandalorian.
Oh my god, Oh my god, the Mandalorian. I so love the Mandalorian. Here's the thing: how much are we going to talk about the Mandalorian in the next like 10 minutes? Like, how much are we going to like? There's a bunch of stuff on the internet, but surprisingly, very little is actually on the internet about the actual story of the Mandalorian. There's one, obviously, that's become a major meme, but aside from that, I don't think a lot of people have talked about the actual story of this series that is so good.
So we should be the firsts.
So
I don't want to limit our discussion because of how much I love the Mandalorian.
Okay.
And how much I just want to rewatch it right now.
Then this is your spoiler friends warning, because we're going to talk about not just Baby Yoda, who's everywhere and everybody knows about him.
He's the child. Stop calling him Baby Yoda.
Never. Because here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, they're going to give that kid a name at some point, and I'm going to name him the, quotes, Baby Yoda, in quotes, child.
No.
Yes.
No. He's the child.
Yes, we're spoiling stuff going forward here for The Mandalorian. You get a fucking vibro sword for the first time in actual, like, recorded. You have no idea how exciting that makes me, and it's the last shot of the damn series. So when he comes out of the freaking TIE fighter at the end, and he's got the glowing sword that he chops his way out of, that's called a vibro sword. It's from, I think it's all over the extended universe stuff, but I first encountered it in Knights of the Old Republic, and it is the coolest fucking weapon, and I wish more people used them. They were just knockoff lightsabers for people who were like, I don't feel like learning the Force to be a Jedi. I just want a cool glowing fucking sword.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the whole thing about there is one episode that I do not like.
Okay, I have an episode in my head, because there's one episode, it's not that I don't like it, but I think it's I don't say low point, there's a lull, and I think this is the lowest of that lull before it gets back into into the good stuff. So, what is the episode you don't like?
It's the 6th episode, the jailbreak episode.
Yes, that is exactly the same episode. So it's the only reason that episode is fine. The problem is that is the third in a string of the he's running away and getting more and more desperate for work episodes. That is just the lull. That is the second act of that show.
It is awful.
It's just so like by the book and boring.
Yeah, here's the thing. If it wasn't part of this story, if it was like an episode in something else, something that wasn't The Mandalorian, I think I would like it. Because, yes, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's an episode. Going to describe it.
It's an episode that is literally meant to set up characters for season 2 and do not much else.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually affect much of the outer story aside from setting up characters to come back later.
But, so it was funny because Devin had finished it. We had 3 episodes left, right? And Devin, in order to talk about it on Say Report, finished those last 3 episodes before I got a chance to, which was fine. That was all cool. And then so I was like, we have time. I'm gonna watch these. So we rewatched the last 3 episodes together. And after this, so the first episode we watched was the 6th episode.
Oh.
And it was like after this really good moment of being like, this is how desperate children, I mean, he's not really a child, but how young people are to get into the guild. Like, it sets up the world of the guild really well.
The episode before that, right?
I think
it's
so.
The Mos Eisley Tatooine episode, and then before that is the Cara Dune Magnificent Seven episode.
Yeah, so it's Cara Dune, and then you meet that kid who's like, I just need your help, and
And Ming Na Wen,
Yeah.
who I
Yep.
swear to God will come back.
Oh,
He just left
yeah.
that body in the desert. There's no
She
way she
gets
doesn't
picked
come
up
back.
by somebody.
Does she?
Yeah. The end of the
Oh.
episode is her getting picked up by somebody.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, it's that. But
So
that's
the
fine.
first episode after like a week of not watching was the 6th episode, was the jailbreak episode. And which is like, I don't remember if that's the title of it, but that's what everybody's calling it. And it's just like during it, I'm like, all right, this does not feel like The Mandalorian. This does not feel like the show that I grew to love, and I'm scared. Is
That was the moment.
Gonna be a 5-episode thing for me? Like I got really nervous.
That was the moment where like I was concerned that there was a part of me that after the end of the 3rd episode, because those first 3 episodes are basically like a 90-minute pilot.
Yeah.
Like they work really well as like a 90-minute opening pilot. And so when the 4th episode comes up and you get him meeting up with Cara Dune, and he's in that town for like, it turns out they stayed there for a few weeks before he leaves and all that. There was a part of me after that episode that went, oh, was that just a pilot and this is the show now? And then the 2nd episode was again another one that was like a one-off kind of short thing that still built on the idea that they're running away, but that was it. And I was like, oh, so this might be the show, but you know, I can adjust to that because these 2 episodes are pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the heist episode happens, the jailbreak episode happens, and I was like, oh, that's right. If the show gets like this, that means there's going to be episodes that I don't like very much. Yeah. And I don't want that to happen.
And it's not even like, you just said heist, right? If that episode was a heist, I think I'd be okay with it. But it's not. Like, it's not a heist episode at all. It's very true and blue a jailbreak thing. Like, if they had to steal something off the ship and save the guy, cool, I'm down. That would have been interesting to watch.
Because
like,
at least then, whatever they're stealing, you can make that interesting enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, this is like a cool setup. Like the setup of the show, of the episode was really cool, and I was like, I kind of like these new characters. They're really interesting. Richard Ayoade is playing a robot. Like, is playing a droid.
I didn't realize that was Richard Ayoade. I remember when I remember when I saw that Taika Waititi was playing the other robot, was playing IG-11, and I knew he was directing episodes later, so I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. I did not catch that was Ayoade.
I just know, I just know Richard Ayoade's voice, like it's ingrained
in my memory.
Have you watched
complete diversion really quick? Do you watch the Big Fat Quiz?
Oh, of course I do. I haven't watched.
Have you watched the one for?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched it yet.
Good Richard.
Are you kidding me, Zach? I rewatch episodes that I've watched like 10 times because I'm just bored. And I'm like, I quote the Big Fat Quiz of everything and Big Fat Quiz of the year. Like, it's a game show and I quote it. Like, that's how much I love the show. So yeah, but like Richard Ayoade's voice is very much ingrained in my head. So I was just like, I heard it and I was like, that's a familiar voice. And then I heard it again. I'm like, it's Richard Ayoade. Cool. I love this.
And he has the most interesting part of the episode because he's in the ship with the child.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm like, this is a cool setup. All right. And then we get to the prison ship and I'm like, all right, cool. We're getting into this. So this is going to be good. And then it just stays very medium lined. And
it's just the same hallway. It's like, different versions of them going through the same hallway.
Boring. And like comparatively, it felt like I was watching an episode of The Orville. Like one of the episodes where they have to be running around the ship and it is the same hallway. I'm trying to remember. There's an episode where they lost someone on the ship of the Orville and they're trying to hunt them down. And I'm like, I kind of feel like that's what I'm watching. But the Orville is leaps and bounds better.
It's a bottle episode for a series that's behind $1 billion movies. So you don't think that they would ever need to have the budget concerns of needing a bottle episode.
Yeah, it's just like, and it felt like it should have been an earlier episode. It just totally brought everything to a painful halt. And it ended, and I looked over at Devin, and I'm like, I didn't like that. I didn't like any of that. And he was like, yeah, no, it's the worst episode. And I'm like, cool. At least I'm not crazy. Like, at least and I've talked to people since then, and I'm like, sixth episode, how do you feel? And almost every single person I've mentioned has been like, it is the worst episode of the series. And I'm like, cool, all right. I just needed that. I just needed that verification. Because
for reference, I watched half of that episode. It took me a week to go back and watch the other half, and then I waited for the final 2 episodes to be out before I sat down and watched them back to back and heard people be like, "Oh yeah, the finale actually lands. Cool, cool. I can sit down and watch those 2 episodes then," because that episode made me lose a little bit of faith in what was going on. It really
did. I got real nervous. So I'm like, this is, I hate it. Like, it was just so bad. It's just so painful, like, we're setting stuff up. And I really, like, I had issues with the ending. Like, it didn't feel like, it didn't feel like who I learned the Mandalorian was. It just didn't, I don't know. It was just so off. And like I said, it felt like an earlier episode, but it couldn't have been. Like, it was very much planned to be where it was in the story because of the ball, because of the little spin ball, and I'm almost positive, I have to rewatch this because, but I'm almost positive the video, the hologram that Zero is watching is then the hologram that's at the beginning of the next episode. I'm almost positive. I have to rewatch it. But so I'm like, so you had a plan. This was what you planned to have as your 6th episode.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm only half joking when I say setting up characters for later. It's like, is this the first time, aside from the other Mandalorians, that I can't remember how much he knew of Cara Dune, but he hadn't actually worked with her before, right? When you see her in that episode?
Yeah, no, I think he just knew of her.
Okay, so this is the first time where he's running into people.
Knew of him.
But this is the first time that that he's running into people that he's like worked with before.
Yeah.
Right. And so the problem is that they didn't. You can't do that in one episode. You can't set up 4 characters in that episode and be like, oh, by the way, he has history with these people, which is why he doesn't kill them at the end. It's like, okay, but
that's not even it. That's not even it, because he only has history with one of the 3.
Them. Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't kill them at the end because, like, there's so many things that it could be, and I don't like that. He could have not killed them because it's like, I said no one on the ship is losing a life. Like, I'm not killing anybody on the ship. And like, he could have said, like, it could have been that I'm just gonna leave you here to starve because that is a far worse fate than me just killing you. It could have been like, hey, eventually this place is gonna go down. It could have, like, eventually you guys will just die. Again, that's kind of going off the starvation thing. Or he's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna kill your boss and, like, not even give a shit. Like, yeah, it's too open-ended, and I hate it.
It's also like, it's the idea that he's like, this is a Republic ship that they're breaking into. He's breaking into ostensibly are the good guys in the rest of the Star Wars canon. We know that he's not a fan of the Republic. He's a bounty hunter. He works outside the law. So the idea that his punishment would be like, I'm going to leave you for people that I don't think are even like a legitimate government in a lot of ways is also really shitty to kind of be like, yeah, by the way, I don't respect the authority of the New Republic, but also I'll leave you to them because why not? Like, that doesn't make any sense, my man.
I mean, the best thing, and it was Devin's point, and it was like, the best thing I heard, I am okay with this, is if it was, I said I'm not taking a life on this ship, and I'm going to stick to that. And Devin, that's Devin gets his credit, like, Devin gets the credit for that, because it's like, yeah, no, that is Mandalorian. That is who I learned the Mandalorian is. That is his character, and I'm down for that.
Darja Din, is that what his name was in the end? I can't fucking remember now how he said his said his name. Oh, that was so good to have the one scene.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I'm like, you are an honorable person. Like, you kill with honor. You take bounties with honor. You have honor, even though you kind of say, like, you like kind of allude to you might not, but like, you are an honorable person. So I can totally believe that you will stick to your guns and be like, I'm not killing anybody on this ship. You guys
He
can
in
just
fact,
die from starvation.
yeah, he
Like,
in fact confesses when he does something dishonorable.
yeah,
He like it's like a whole plot
yeah,
point that he
yeah.
goes into what's
He's like,
essentially confession
the
when he does
Mudhorn.
something
Yeah,
dishonorable.
yeah. He's like,
So
I can't take it. I did not. It was not an honorable kill. My enemy killed the Mudhorn for me. It
my
didn't know
baby,
what. It
my
didn't know it
child,
was my enemy at
my
the time.
son,
Like,
my
oh my god,
adoptive boy,
my
my
god.
sweet boy.
But yeah, I didn't like that episode, and then like the ending of him like blowing it up. I'm like, ugh, like that felt weird too. Like I don't know. I'm like, yes, those people are bad, and yes, that's also what the Mandalorian character is. But it's just like this was so painfully obvious, just filler episode,
Yeah,
and
and I have
like the Mandalorian didn't feel like it needed filler. Like it's not a show
the,
that I
it's
think
8 episodes.
needs a
It
filler.
doesn't need.
Yeah,
You specifically do an 8 episode series because you don't need filler. But yeah,
exactly.
and like there's a point to those 3 episodes. The problem is that was like of the three of them, that is the one that really doesn't work. That really doesn't land because it never lands. It never quite lands the desperation. I think the thing is that like the Mos Eisley Tatooine episode before it lands the desperation. He goes into what is now an empty Mos Eisley cantina because Hut is dead, looking for work, and he can't find it because even the fucking huts are gone. Like he's desperate for work. The problem is that like I don't think that third episode, I don't think this episode 6 sells the idea that he is
Desperate.
desperate enough
Nope.
to work with these people. And that's the real problem with that episode.
Yeah. Yeah. But everything else about it, everything except for if you can sit through the 6th episode, everything about The Mandalorian is
That
just perfect.
That
Like,
episode
it's-
needs an interrogation scene. That episode needs
Yeah.
a scene where the Republic captures the Mandalorian, and you can get some real good idea of his
Tension?
feelings on the Republic.
You can get
Yes.
tension
Yes,
to go back
because
to
otherwise
that.
they just walk in, they do the thing, and they leave. Is the other part to that? There's no
There's the one tense scene is in the control room with the human. With like the one human on board. Well, the one working human on board. Like that is the most tense scene. And
Yeah.
then it just gets ended. And I'm like, oh, I hate this.
Yeah.
Like, why? Yeah, I don't know. Everything else.
But anyway,
the child is incredible. I love him.
like he works perfectly. One, non-verbally, and two, just like he can do his one thing with his hand, and then he has to lay back and sleep for a while.
Yeah.
So like he like just by setup cannot be overused, which is perfect.
Which I was nervous about because I was kind of getting tired of him, like, from the memes. And I'm like, I'm really nervous to watch this show because I feel like I'm not going to love it. I feel like I'm not going to like it as much. And then as soon as I saw the child, I'm like, nope, I love you. I don't care. Nothing better hurt you. Or else
Good
I will
gizmo
jump
puppet.
into the TV and hurt it.
It's a good gizmo puppet. What can I tell you?
Oh my god.
I'm not kidding. I'm pretty certain that is the gizmo puppet. I think it's been confirmed that
Oh
that is
my
just the
gosh.
gizmo puppet from Gremlins.
Really?
I think so. People have definitely said that enough times that I'm not sure if it was a joke at first or if they're actually telling the truth. But it's pretty much like shape-wise, definitely.
Gizmo
but I think
is
they
smaller than it.
I don't know.
Gizmo's definitely
Gizmo can
smaller.
Gizmo can fit in a desk drawer. I'm pretty certain the child is floating around in a desk drawer the whole show. So
I don't know. I don't believe that until someone says, until like John
I'll
Favreau.
confirm it later.
Until John Favreau was like, yeah, we just
That was the other thing.
used-
It was so funny to watch like John Favreau be like, "Yeah, of course I didn't tell people he was in this show.
Yeah.
Why would I tell people he's in the show?"
That was cool. I read that in the trivia and I'm like, that's cool. Oh man. But yeah, it's just so good. Everybody should watch The Mandalorian. Even if you're not, here's the thing. It works even if you're not a Star Wars fan. Because you don't really need to know anything else about Star Wars. Except
Yeah.
that it's space
Like-
and that there's the Force and that there's a bad people and there's the good people. And then there's people who kind of walk the line. And that's it.
Right.
That's all you need
Like,
to know. And you
An
get all that.
empire is dead and a republic has replaced it. Like that's what you need to know as far as like previous to this is that
like,
some sort of evil empire has been toppled, a new sort of democratic government has taken its place, which means that the people who thrive either during war or during like an evil empire are now struggling, and those are the people that the Mandalorian deals with.
Mhm.
So
But that's
like,
it. It's basically all your it's a western about a bounty hunter. That's all. That is like cutting like down and dirty what this show is about. It's about a bounty hunter who is saving a kid in the west. In the wild wild west. Yippee yo, yippee yay.
there it is.
Um
Oh man.
yeah. I didn't get to the Decker quest.
Well, I mean, you okay? So like, quick version. You guys ran around and played a bunch of X-Men in like a
We
bunch of
tried
different
to.
states,
We
didn't you?
tried to. Yeah. Quick, like down, like real quick on that. We set out to beat the X-Men arcade game in all 6 New England states. We beat it in Rhode Island and New Hampshire. Um, this was kind of a last minute plan, so we went later in the day, than a little bit later than we maybe should have. Just because we were waiting for the New Hampshire place to be open, because we wanted to call and double check to make sure they had the game. So we did that, and then we got there. We got there around 12:30. We're there for an hour, no problem. Devin got a haircut because the place was in a barber shop. Um, and then we
Sure.
start, and then we start.
Okay.
So then we start driving to our Vermont location, and it starts getting dark. Temperature drops a little bit, and the roads start getting icy. And it was just like, you know what, this weather is not on our side. We should just, we should kind of head home. And we already weren't gonna do all 6 states because Maine, we could not find a single place in Maine that had the X-Men arcade game. So our plan was just like to play the PS3 version in a coffee shop somewhere. We brought the PS3. But then even that like didn't feel worth it. So basically, long story short, we are going to do it again this year. It is going to happen. And it's just going to take a little bit more timing and a little bit more planning and warmer weather, because the biggest reason why we stopped was because of weather, is that it was just so icy in Vermont that it just wasn't worth it.
And you gotta know when the universe is telling you something.
Yeah.
You gotta know when something is saying you should probably turn back.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. So it still ended up being a fantastic day, like a fantastic adventure. It was my first time driving our that oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm saying sorry to you, but I just hit the microphone.
Ow.
So it's like hitting you, right? Right? Yeah.
I like that. I like it. It's like, I wanted to hit you, but you're not here. So where's that microphone?
But yeah, it's just it's warm weather, and it was my first time, because we've done this trip before where we drive through all 6 states in a day, and this was the first time I got to do it, so that was really cool. So yeah, but it will happen again, and you can stay tuned for that, because I'm sure I will talk about it. And
That's the best thing about like first attempt at a thing and it doesn't work out, is that really builds that tension for that second attempt. That really builds up that I want to try this again and we've got to do it now.
Because the thing
feeling.
is, we are more than capable of doing it. Like, we have done crazier things in less time. It'll happen.
There we go. That's that spirit.
But yeah.
Okay. 3 things. I'm going to hit them real quick. Let's see if I can do this.
Do it.
So the first 2 things are 2 video games.
Perfect.
The first one being Gravity Rush from 7 years ago. I think it's like a 2012 video game. I know I got it like super cheap for the PlayStation holiday sale. It's super fun. You bounce around, like you can change gravity. It was originally a Vita game, so there was more motion control to it, but there's way less when you're playing it on PlayStation, which is good. But like basically you can like jump in the air and then freeze yourself in the air and then shoot yourself off in whatever direction you want. And then the combat's kind of weird because I don't know, it just isn't very well done together. But like the actual like floating around and doing stuff is great. This is the one that I texted you about where they were like, also, by the way, for some reason they've decided to go with this weirdest story ever. It's like I don't think this is based on anything. As far as I could tell, this is not based on an existing like comic or cartoon or anything. And so like it's just like weird anime stuff going on in this game. Like you wake up, the whole thing starts with this girl waking up completely with no memory, and there's a cat following her, and the cat looks like it's all made of stars and galaxies,
Oh, it's incredible.
and that's what's giving her the power to change gravity and everything. And so she's just like chasing this cat around the city, and then it turns out the city's been broken up into four parts by these monsters. So you spend some time putting the parts back together, and then you go under the thing, and then there's more monsters, and then there's like lost children, and then there's another gravity shifter, and then there's like all this weird shit going on that's like this feels like I'm playing through a season of an anime, but
Nice.
there's like I'm doing it in like a matter of hours. But I'm like running around, like you start the thing, and she's like, I need a place to live because I really need a shower for some reason. Like that was the thing they harped on, and ultimately it's like, well, the place you find to live is a sewer pipe. So I don't know what you're thinking that this was going to solve your shower issue, but sure. But it's really fun. Like I'm still working through it. It's like I don't know. You just shoot yourself off in different gravity directions, and then like a second one came out in 2017, but got drowned out by the rest of that year. So I want to play that eventually.
I definitely have heard of Gravity
But
Rush 2.
yes, Gravity Rush 2 is like one of those things. Like, oh, this sequel is great and it improves on this first one, but also a month from now, the Switch is going to come out, and
Yeah.
Nier Automata is going to come out, and Horizon comes out,
Yeah.
and it just completely
Yeah.
wrecks any chance that this game had. So Gravity Rush, people should check it out while it's still cheap, if it's still cheap. So the second game won the video game awards like Game of the Year and never should have, because I don't know how anyone outside of like niche people found this game exciting, and that's Disco Elysium.
Okay.
Disco Elysium is a role-playing game where you play a cop who wakes up in a motel room, again, with no memory. You don't remember your name. You don't remember why you're in this hotel. You don't remember why you're in this town.
Hmm.
And you spend the first 30 minutes just trying to get dressed because you got to figure out where all your clothes are in this
Oh
trashed
my
hotel
god.
room. You got to figure out where your clothes are in this trashed hotel room, including the fact that your tie is up on the ceiling fan. And you got to figure out how to do that without killing yourself and ending your run,
Oh
because
my
that's a
god.
possibility.
Why can't you just stop the fan?
So, I mean, ultimately, what you try to do is figure out how to stop the fan and then reach up and grab the tie. The
Yeah.
problem is that if you're dumb enough to be like, I'm going to jump up and grab the tie, you whack your hand on the fan and give yourself like a heart attack.
Oh my god.
like, and like writ large, this game is just stuff like that where it's like there's no combat system. You're just talking to people and then it's running like random checks like a role-playing game does. So like you might punch a person mid conversation, but there's not like a moment where you stop and have like an actual fight. There's like fighting skills or anything like that. But everything is done on this like massive on this like list of checks. Sometimes it actually shows you a dice roll. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just running them in the background.
Jeez.
But it's like you're constantly trying to like put your memory back together, figure out what happened. Like the opening of this game is you find out you're a cop. You were supposed to come to this town and solve a murder, but instead you spent 3 days drinking yourself into oblivion and losing your memory. And by the way, in that 3 days, you never took the body down that's been hanging behind the hotel you've been staying at. So there's just a body hanging in a tree that's now 4 days old.
Oh my god.
Like,
Oh my god.
like,
This sounds
and so
ridiculous.
it is
Sounds
ridiculous, and
insane.
it's like it's large blocks of text, and it's like all very much about like interiority and like putting your personality back together. Like you can shape this guy's entire personality with conversation choices you make and different skills that you upload. So like the biggest one being your tie talks to you when you put it on. It starts having these conversations with you about the fact that you're like a loser that drank yourself into oblivion. I kept apologizing to people so much that it straight up gave me the perk of being the sorry cop, the guy that apologizes
Oh
to
my
everybody.
god.
But if you apologize to the right people, they'll give you better information because you were so apologetic for being an asshole to them.
Oh my god.
And like and so I met the guy, this guy from like another precinct gets sent to work with me because the town you're in is between these two precincts and neither one of them wants to actually police the area. So like the union of the harbor union is basically the de facto police in this place, and there's a labor dispute. Like this is all part of why you're here. So this cop from another precinct shows up and basically spends the entire time just kind of rolling his eyes at you. You go back and look at the body, and he's just like, "Wait, that's the body." It's like, "Yeah, it's still there." It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "You were sitting here like 3 days ago. Why is the body still there?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't have a memory. Why are you asking me this question?"
Yeah. Oh my god.
And like the guy is wearing these like cyber boots. That's like, because this whole thing also takes place in some sort of weird dystopian future, but really it takes place in a small crappy harbor town, so you don't see a lot of like sci-fi stuff. But the dead guy is wearing like power armor boots, and you can go through a whole process of stealing those boots off of him if you really want
Oh
them.
my god.
Because they're really cool boots. Let me go
Oh
get
my
them.
god. Oh my god.
It's the weirdest thing, because like it is a game that is just like blocks of text.
Yeah.
Like you're watching this guy go around and interact with the world, but it is like ultimately it's all checks and RPG stuff. And the fact that it won like Game of the Year of all stupid things at the Video Game Awards is ridiculous to me, because like how? Like I can think of like three writers that I followed that thought that this game was amazing. I never would have thought it got past those three people though.
Yeah.
Like, but I just I it's so fucking funny. It's so fucking funny to have like one of the things going on is your empathy. So, and it's literally the parts of your personality are talking to you. And so like
Interesting.
you'll be talking to a person, and then like anything that's basically an easy check based on your skills will just automatically be part of the conversation. And so like you're talking to someone, and then all of a sudden a thing will come up that says like empathy says, "Oh, you should probably not push this guy too much harder. He looks like he's about to punch you in the face." or like or your knowledge of the world, which you don't have a lot of because, brain damage. But it's like something was like, you like, "Wait, hold on. That sounds familiar. The name of that company sounds familiar. What is it before? Ask about that. Ask about that."
That's crazy.
And like a bunch of like the conversation options are things like you could just try and bullshit your way through and be like, "No, don't worry. I'm the super cop. I know everything." Like, you better hope to God that you've got enough bullshitting skills to get through saying that. I was trying to leave the hotel, and the guy at the bar was trying to get me to settle my bar tab, and it gave me the option to intimidate him and be like, "I'm a cop. I don't pay the bar tab," or something.
Oh my
And I
god.
failed that check. So what happened was I watched my character go running out of the hotel. He just went, nope. And I ran out the door,
Oh
and then
my god.
anyway, I was outside.
Oh my god. That's
And I haven't
incredible.
gone back in the hotel since, so I don't know what happens when I go back to my room.
Oh god. That's incredible.
So yeah, that's just on PC right now. It's coming out later, I know, for PS4 and Switch. I can't imagine playing this game on Switch because the text is so fucking small.
Yeah.
But definitely PS4 for like anybody out there that think that's interesting, or just watch other people play it online just to get like an idea before. Like I cannot stress enough how much it is just reading, if that is a thing that bothers people.
Yeah.
It's just like strings of conversation.
Yeah.
Interesting conversation if you're into it, but I like also definitely possible to just be like, I can't work my way through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is just so fucking funny to be like being this cop in this weird dystopian future trying to solve this murder and finding out what happened in this like world that you live in, and the whole time you're just like too fucking drunk, you're too hungover. You're just too tired to deal with
I
it.
I imagine it's kind of like oh, there was like some weird detective games on the Switch, but they're like photorealistic. That's all I can picture right now.
Yeah, there was one where like someone said the name Dick Mullen, and I was like, "Dick Mullen, I bet that's me. That sounds like a cool cop name." And so I introduced myself as Dick Mullen. They were like, "That's the name of the mystery character I read. There's like 40 books with Dick Mullen in it.
Oh
You're not
my
Dick Mullen. What the hell are
god.
you talking
Oh
about?"
my god. That's great.
And I was like, "Oops, never mind." Walking away from that conversation, I guess.
Oh, or like a Monkey Island, like a point and click
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
like it's definitely in like that vein, but like the stuff it's working with, or like, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. So that was Disco Elysium. That was Gravity Rush. Now, for the last, ooh, okay, 10 minutes. Let's see if I can do this and keep this at an hour and a half episode. Um, how do I want to pitch it? This is the thing I wanted to tell you about for a long time, but I was trying to figure out the best way to word it. And now that it's a role play, actual play like podcast, so they're
Oh
playing a
yeah, you had said
yeah,
that.
so they're playing a game, but it's much more like just an improvised like teleplay,
Yeah.
like improvised radio play more than anything, and the dice rolls are more for just like messing with the improv part of that.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is that it's Sky Pirates, a thing I know you love. I know you love the idea of Sky Pirates.
Yes.
So what I'm gonna do is what I'll do if I'm gonna to the best of my memory. So it just reached 1 year on this. It's called the Campaign Podcast. They were actually for like 4 years they were doing a Star Wars story. They were playing like a whole Star Wars thing with these like three characters that are great. But about a year ago they reset and started doing a whole new story based on both a card game called Ilamat, which
Okay.
I just bought. It's fun, which was kickstarted and partially done along with the Decemberists, the folk band.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you
And
sent that picture and I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
yeah, and so like the world is partially inspired by their music
That's cool.
in this new thing. So
Nice.
like a lot of characters are named after characters that come up in Decemberist songs and stuff.
Nice. Nice.
So it's called Skyjacks from the campaign pod. And a skyjack is a sky pirate. People
Mhm.
that float on ships in the air, they're called aeroners,
Okay.
and they float on what's called featherweave is their sails, which when heated up works a lot like a hot air balloon
Yep.
that helps them fly. And no one sails on the seas anymore because basically these are basically cursed. Everyone like people live on like tops of mountains or like in sky places, but no one really lives on the surface or floats or like sails the seas anymore because it's all been like long ago like cursed land. No one goes down there. We don't talk about the water anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's a sky pirate.
Cool.
And it opens up like the introduction to the characters starts with a character that I think someone sat down and said, I bet Dale Decker would like this character. Say,
Oh my god.
15-year-old boy in the crow's nest.
Okay.
Little bit of magic to him that he doesn't quite understand. Wears a bandana over a third eye that he can't quite control. His name is Jonnet, and his greatest wish in life is to be a captain for a skyjack fleet.
Aw.
And so his entire storyline is based on like him trying to learn and control this magic and what's going to get him closer to being a captain.
Aw.
So so
Aw.
we meet Jonnet and he's like, okay, so he spots land. He comes he comes excitedly down the crow's nest, comes running into the captain's quarters, and that's where we meet Travis and Gable. Travis is a shapeshifter
Awesome.
only shifts. He doesn't shift at will. He shifts at night, no matter
Okay.
what.
Cool. Sweet.
And what he changes into changes with the seasons. So in the
Awesome.
summer he's a coyote. In the fall he's a coyote. In the summer he's a bird. They haven't actually done the other animals yet, so I don't know. But
That's super cool.
what's super cool about that is that because they're in the sky, they don't always know what season it is
Yeah.
because they can land different points are going to be in different seasons.
Yeah.
So sometimes they just get to the night and they're like, Travis is like, let's see what happens now.
That's awesome.
And Travis is great because he's just a fucking like, I'm the coolest guy in the room. Everybody comes and talks to me because I'm the guy. I'm the guy. And what's annoying is that he is the guy most of the time. He rolls so fucking well throughout this
Incredible.
game that he just is consistently winning out with his bullshit.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And Gable is this non-binary 7-foot figure that
Awesome.
isn't quite clear to look at times because they just seem to change and shift when you look at them. And there's all sorts
Cool.
of weird stuff going on with Gable about what they are, but like they're basically they're the first mate. They're the ones that they're like
Yeah.
the second in command, and
They're like a mirage, kind of.
And
It
they're kind of
sounds
kind of again they have all of this mysterious power, and
cool.
they have one of the
Cool.
they have this great like relationship with they have these three giant birds that they can control that they all ride on sometimes,
Oh my
like
god.
big old eagles and seagulls and herons
Oh
and all
my
this
god, I
stuff.
love it. I love
And
everything.
oh, Gable is great.
Love everything
Gable's
about it.
amazing because Gable just is like, I don't want to be in charge, but I
Yeah.
kind of have to because I'm the only one that's got like a brain.
Yeah.
Like if I
Aw.
leave it to Travis, Travis will ruin things.
That's
Uh,
awesome. That's incredible.
and so they're inside and they're discussing in the captain's quarters some important business of what do we do when we land, because we don't really know what we do when we land. How does this work? And then it kind of pans over to Dreff. Dreff is the ship's captain. He's a the ship's not captain, the ship's medic, and
Mhm.
he's a necromancer.
Awesome.
So he does all of his medicinal work by basically bringing your flesh back to
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So like a character lose an arm and he'll bring your arm back, but you can't quite, it's supernaturally strong, but you can't quite feel it because he just kind of attached a dead arm to you.
Oh my god.
And like he's got all of his whole mysterious past stuff going on, and he's another one that's like, I don't really want that much attention. I'm just here to sew people back together and move on. He's like obsessed with death. That's why he's a necromancer,
Yeah.
but he's obsessed with like death by way of prolonging life, which is what brings us to Captain Oromar
Huh.
Vale,
Okay.
who's dead because and Treff has brought back to life basically as like a voodoo zombie
Okay.
that they are weekend at Bernie's at the moment. They're all trying to figure out how they convince the rest of the crew that the captain didn't actually die.
Interesting.
And how do they use him to do things like when they land, go and negotiate with the bandit queen for how they sell off a bunch of this crap they just stole.
Oh my god.
And like,
Oh
oh
my
yeah, by the
god.
way, the captain and the bandit queen definitely used to have sex.
Yeah.
So like there's some romance there that we have to deal with a
Oh
guy who's
my
dead and
who's
can't
dead.
speak.
Oh my god. That's incredible.
So like
That's incredible.
how do you control this zombie that like only really moves if you tell him to?
Jesus.
And this is like it's weird because it's some of the dumbest stuff you'll ever hear. Like Travis turns into a bird, and he can talk when he's an animal,
Yeah.
perfectly fine,
Yeah.
but insists when he's a bird to just go around going to people, I'm a different bird. I'm a different bird. I'm a different bird, like a parrot. He said, I don't think he even turns into a parrot. He says like a crow, but for some reason he decides he's going to repeat stuff like a parrot just to annoy people.
Oh my god.
But then you also get like this deep like rich storytelling of like what's going on with Gable and what's going on with Dreff and their backstories of these like immensely dark dramatic things that happen to them, and like Gable starts to have a relationship with someone, and what does that really mean
Yeah.
when they're not really able to stay in one place for very long.
Yeah. Interesting.
And like how does Jonnet find his place in this world when he doesn't know how to control the magical murder eye in his head
oh my
at
god.
times?
Oh my god.
It's so good. It's so very 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 good. It's all of these people that have been doing this like improvised storytelling, and they do like voice work, and they do all of this great like they do these like role playing podcasts and stuff, so they know what they're doing from the base,
Yeah.
which means that it like allows them to like go out of their way to do like such amazing wild shit with the game because they know how to rework it in their favor. It's so very good.
Interesting.
So yeah, campaign pod
Sweet.
is what you would look for when you're looking it up. Like Skyjacks is that specific story.
Yeah.
I think it goes back like 50 episodes maybe.
Okay.
They also just started because they needed to take a break for the holiday, is they started Courier's Call, which is their like family friendly like middle schooler level story about these kids that are going to join up with this like mail service that
Oh my god.
like also eyes in the sky. Yeah, there's only one episode of that right now. I think the second one comes out tomorrow.
Nice.
And then after the first like 3 episodes and the main story comes back, I think that goes on its own feed. So that's still going to keep going.
Cool.
But yeah. So they're like expanding the world and stuff. But oh man, like I love this story so much for just how buck wild. He goes in places, and like their like willingness to like sit down. They're like in the middle of this like arena match for a thing, and they all just decide we're gonna be the announcers for this for a while. So we're gonna take 20 minutes to make really dumb jokes about sitting there, and they're like, here we are today watching this match as we all sit down. It's like, guys, we have a story to get to. What are we doing?
Oh my gosh. Ridiculous.
Oh man, but yeah, that's Skyjacks.
Nice.
That's something I highly
Nice.
recommend to everybody.
Nice. That's
And I
awesome.
think that does it for the opening of 2020
I
for
think
Say
so.
Report Jr.
I think so. It's a good one. It was a good one.
130. Hey, 131. That's not bad.
Yeah.
So you can find us on Twitter and YouTube if you search Say Report Jr. That's Say Report JR. You can find us on different podcasting apps. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. Sorry, I was trying to hold in a burp there. I lost breath. You can find us individually on Twitter. I am at Zerwisky.
And I am at Dale's Brain.
And we need the first ice cream of 2020.
Woo! Take it away, Liz.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dale Decker and Zach Sarowik. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.